Hello class. When you come in, take a seat and take out your textbooks and your note-taking material. As you're doing that, it was a pretty cold weekend this past weekend. First snow of the year. Kind of exciting. I don't know how many of you like the cold weather, but I kind of do. I like the cold weather and the snow, but I guess that's everyone's own preference. So, when you come in here, you have your notes out. I'm going to have you write down a couple questions. I don't want you to answer them. I don't want you to write it down or tell me an answer. I just want you to think about it. Alright? So, write this down. The first question is, what is an American? Think about it. Don't write anything else down. Just think about it. Second question, what does it take to be an American? Again, just think about it, nothing else. As we go on through this course of American history, you maybe haven't thought about it yet, but those are a couple questions that we need to think about during this time, thinking about history, thinking about where we came from. So as we go on through this lesson, and maybe a couple lessons after that, weeks, as we move through this course, we will reflect upon those questions that you wrote down. Just look back every now and then, look and think about it. Okay? So, this month, November, pretty historical, yet kinda you made some history and you reflect on some history. Beginning of the month, we had our presidential election. Pretty exciting. If any of you guys followed along, it took over all of our TVs for a great deal of time. I'm glad it's over now. But we made history. That is a building block for what is to come in the future. Okay? Also, a couple Fridays ago, we had Veterans Day. That is when we reflect and appreciate what Americans have done to make our lives the way they are today. And then, coming up, we have Thanksgiving this week. It's a great holiday. Great time to be with family and friends. But, think of the historical ways. Think, how did Thanksgiving become Thanksgiving? It happened with a historical event in America many years ago. Again, when I mention stuff like that, just think about those first questions. Okay? So, now we're going to move on with this American history course. As we do that, I want to take a little different approach. Usually in history classes you go with what happened first all the way to close to the present. And we'll kind of do that, but in a different way. So, now we are going to go on, and what we are going to talk about now are the conflicts or the wars that the United States and America have been through in order to make America what it is today. Again, just think about that. the American Revolutionary War. What made the first building block of America? Just think, what if there would have been any other outcome? What if the British would have overcome us during that time? How would our lives be like today? Would we be ruled by a king or queen? I don't know, maybe. But those are the little things you need to think about when going through a course like this and thinking about history. It's not just all the boring stories that you hear about, but really it has a purpose. It has some meaning to it. So, we will go through that. We will talk about certain conflicts and wars that happened during our history here in America. But first, I want to listen to a recording of the Gettysburg Address. Can anyone in here tell me who proclaimed the Gettysburg Address? Yes? Good. Abraham Lincoln. He was President of the United States during the what war? Yes? Good. The Civil War. Very good. We're going to be talking about stuff like that coming up here in this lesson. So we'll listen to that, and then we'll go over the concept map that I showed earlier, and also our PowerPoint, where you can take notes and prepare for our group project that we will begin after. Well, that was pretty historical, I would say. But if you read through the paper I gave you that had the speech on it, it really means something that president would care so much. And just think if he didn't, how would history be different? What would it be like today? Will we still have high prejudice against African Americans? Will we still have slaves? You never know. But the way our lives are today, it sure makes a difference, because I would say our lives are pretty great. So here, you should have noticed the concept map I was able to provide you. Here are the wars that we will be going over. All the way from the Revolutionary War to the War on Terrorism, which is partially we call the Iraq War. So, as you see there's important dates, important figures, stuff like that. Alright, we will move on to the PowerPoint, so take out your notes. Okay, let's start with the American Revolutionary War. 18th century, it's the beginning of this great nation. Like I said earlier, what if it would have been different? Okay? See here, 1775 to 1782, important figures were George Washington and Ben Franklin, Battle of Bunker Hill, and the Battle of Yorktown. Great battles. Important battles during this war. Okay, now that you have a little bit of information on that, we will move on. What you need to do is get into groups now, okay? It doesn't matter, I didn't assign anyone groups. Get in your own groups, that's fine. So, in your groups, using your textbook, any technological devices, anything that would help aid you. you and your group will need to present on a war that I will give you. You will need to look up information in your textbook or your devices and prepare a short 5-minute presentation with your group. Now, I want to make this a little fun, so for bonus points, you will be able to dress up like the important figure you are going to talk about during this war. If you dress up, maybe give a little excerpt from some quote that person may say, and act it out a little bit. I thought that'd be a little fun, get the class going a little bit, so we'll have that for extra credit. I handed out that speech. On the back side, you have a timeline. While everyone else is presenting their information, you will need to write down on the timeline some of that information. It's your note taking. It will be taken as a grade, so make sure you are paying attention to everyone and giving your full attention to them. Also, I will hand out a rubric for what you will be graded on in your group as you present your information on the war you are given. And I would just like to end today and go back to those questions. When you go through your presentations, think about it. Think about who has sacrificed their lives to make America what it is today. Are those Americans? Is an American just someone on the street that is selling drugs or goes to the bar every night or doesn't do their homework? Think about it, and I don't need answers again, but just think about it for me. And if you want to see me, I can give more examples after class, but that's not examples of your presentation. But besides that, you have the rest of class to work on it. And remember, 5-minute presentation, you can act it out. We will present tomorrow, so actually we'll make it in a couple days, give you a little bit of time. But make it fun. Make it fun. I want you to learn a little bit from this, okay? And then maybe if it goes well, we will keep doing this for the rest of the year, or some of the year. We'll see. But make it fun. Have a good rest of your day. Hope you watch the game this weekend.